the odds start to go up as you go down the generations after us. So it's incumbent upon us to make sure that we are passing on the knowledge, which is what we do as human beings. And this movie, again, is just another way, and a powerful way. If when you get a chance to see Asteroid Hunters on the IMAX screen, you'll see just how powerful it can, an impression it can leave. So these school groups, these kids are going to be, they're going to start seeing this film in larger numbers beginning this fall, and in spring of next year, probably even in larger numbers, as the film begins to take root post pandemic. Unfortunately for me, these theaters have been most risk adverse in opening up during pandemic conditions because their economics are different. There's a reality that they have to contend with. And also because a lot of them are government ran, who are, view themselves as sort of leaders and setting examples for the rest of society. So they're going to behave perhaps most cautiously. And then and so those impressionable minds will get educational material so that they take what they learned from the movie, and maybe in a lot of instances, kids that didn't see the film will walk into classrooms where the teacher will have as part of their curriculum, these sorts of educational guides that they will use to do in-class experiments. And they even, in this guide, obviously there's just one page from it, they have experiments that they can do at home. So they can begin to understand concepts like deflection. Nahum, you showed me this really awesome at-home experiment a few years ago that you brought to one of the classrooms that you taught asteroid deflection to. And some version of that got included in this educator guide. So you're also making your mark on spreading the education beyond your own personal reach. So having people sort of engage on the topic and get a more intimate understanding, of course, is going to help propel all the solutions that we're looking for. And children aren't the only simple, young, impressionable minds that we're trying to reach. We've got these folks. There's hundreds of them. They don't understand the issue well enough. And this is not something I've talked about publicly, and this will be the first time I'm doing so, but I'm working with lobbyists right now to coordinate a screening to congressional leaders of asteroid hunters. So I'm not stopping at the amazing groups of scientists that are involved in this field. I'm not stopping with the school groups. I'm going to push this film into the awareness of our policy deciders so that they can't put their head in the sand anymore. And they can't look at this issue as something that Chicken Little concerns himself about. And this is just sort of wild-eyed lunacy. We all know on this conference that this is a real issue. So I'm going to make sure that they do too. And of course, I have so many people at NASA, JPL, Aerospace Corporation, European Space Agency to thank to have made this film what it is, and that gives it the impact that it has. So that's it for me in a nutshell.
Thank you, Phil. I think working with you was one of the most exciting parts of being associated with planetary defense. I remember that about maybe 3 or 4 years ago, you landed in my class at Aerospace. And hey, let's see, what is it that you're doing there? And I said to myself, if a person from IMAX comes to see my class, then I'm going to ask to teach it at the STARS lab, at the control room where we launch to space, right? It's our own kind of virtual IMAX.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where the class was taught, with a large number of participants. A lot of them were from the AIAA. Paul Chodas was there. Well, the first class, it was before you decided to put it into the movie, because it was just like a teaser for the class. And you, I think, and David and I forget the name of the other lady that is Ginny. Yeah, they came and so, oh, wait a minute, this is really interesting. Can we put your class in the movie? And I got Aerospace authorization to do that. And we spent a full day at aerospace to film the movie. And then Paul was in that class. He's in the movie, and a few other NASA people are in the movie. So I think I just cannot see anything that's more powerful. As I'm going to quote you, Phil, as saying that you are deflecting an asteroid with a movie, right? That's your own quote. So I think that's a very cool way of uh, having a multiplier to inspire the current generation and the next generation. And maybe even the movie could be shown to some of those philanthropists that have, deep pockets. I'm just seeing the flurry of conversation that is going on the chat here, and everybody says, why don't they kind of, tap into that? They are involved with vaccines and with climate change and other things, with going to Mars. Why don't they tap into the area of planetary defense and help missions such as DART and such as Neo Surveyor and things like that that could literally change, the life on Earth one way or another. So maybe we should team up and show them the movie and say, hey, what can you do about it? So inspiring the next generation, we also want to inspire the current generation as well.
Yeah. Well, my answer to any of those ideas, Nahum, is always going to be yes. I'm going to try to find a way to make it happen. Sorry, Paul, I cut you off.
Yeah, Phil, a great movie. And I encourage everyone who's listening in to see the movie when they can. Really exciting. It's very visual, and that's important nowadays. And captures the imagination through great graphics. So I really enjoyed the movie, and I'm very happy to hear that you're, reaching a wider audience, even decision makers or staffers of Congress. Really, that's news to me. That's great. I'm happy that you're getting this to a wider audience, to decision makers. And by the way, incidentally, the recent decision to go ahead with a Neo Surveyor mission was a big step forward for NASA, and
Yes.
They got the blessing for funding of that mission. Has been a long time coming, that one, and so we're very pleased that progress is being made in that area. I would comment on one thing, and that is inspiring students. I don't know whether we have Arash and Tashi on anymore, but Artash rather. But driving home the concept that these problems, like the orbits and all of that, can be solved with mathematics and physics. That all of this, this is a solvable problem for everyone to look at, and it's a manageable problem, and to encourage them to learn mathematics. This is why mathematics in particular is so useful. You can predict the future, right? With the orbits, you can predict where that asteroid will be. You can predict with the math that it's going to, hit the planet such and such a time, and it does. And so that kind of concept drives home the usefulness of math and physics and all the STEM areas.
Well, the fact that we know Apophis is going to miss us on April 13 of 2029 is a function of math as well.
Well, right. But it's better to have it proved already. So going in the past,
yes.
For LeV-9, as I often say, it was very exciting for me to have made the predictions of where it would hit on Jupiter and when it would hit back in 1994. And kind of feeling I was going out on the limb a little bit. I'm going to say it's hitting at this minute, plus or minus a few minutes. And, because all the telescopes in the world will be tuning in, and there were many fragments as well. And at this latitude, on Jupiter and all of that. And so, you can be busy and encouraged and doing all the math and writing all the software, and you put out your answer, and then you sit back and you wonder what's going to happen. And then sure enough, it hits Jupiter, and it's right there where we predicted it would be. For months ahead of time, we predicted it would hit there on that limb at that latitude, and you could go out in even a little telescope, 8-inch perhaps, in your backyard and look at Jupiter, which I've seen, for years and years, and then you would see this black spot on Jupiter right where the math
I
said
saw
it
the
would hit.
spot, Phil. Well, I saw the spot.
You saw it too, Madhu,
Yes.
yes. So, but then the ability to predict that, a year ahead, that just drives home the importance
Oh, sure.
of
It proves the
studying
concept.
math and physics.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and we try to illustrate that a little bit in the movie as well, this relationship of the orbits and trouble.
Phil, it's a pleasure to see that the movie has reception, global reception, and these kinds of movies really touch the global mind. I mean, it easily crosses over geographies and cultures because you got just one precious life to live, and the bad thing, really bad things can happen. The only thing, Phil, next time, bring the moon too into the picture.
Maybe in Asteroid Hunters too.
Or bring us to the movie.
That's right.
Okay, yeah, right.
All right. Are there any comments from anyone? I think that, we went over time, and at least from my perspective, I see this as a positive thing, which means that we had a full agenda with lively conversations and lively commentary, and some people stuck around the full 7 hours or so, right? So to me, I see it as a success, right? We actually presented a very wide range of topics, covered a lot of the issues that were discussed at the PDC at this event that is open to the public and is going to be recorded and available on the AIAA website. I think that just to summarize what we heard today is that very exciting to see the missions that are coming soon to a planet near you. DART is launching end of this year or early next year, and hopefully everything will go well and we'll see the results of this experiment, and Neo Surveyor will be launching in a few years and can ramp up the Discovery charter. I'm kind of envisioning this blue accelerating part of the charter is taking off like a rocket towards an order of magnitude larger than it is today. And maybe in 20 or 30 years, we'll be able to kind of taper off, and it's going to look like the red region there that we say, okay, we are not finding any more of the really big ones, which means that we found 95% of these. And so at least we are kind of safe in the near future from those really big ones. I'd like to see the same situation with the blue part of the chart, that it's kind of tapering off and say, hey, we found a whole 200,000 of these, and or whatever it may be. But I think that's an excellent way of doing that. And I think another takeaway, obviously, that we want to find them first, right? We want to find them early before we can take any action. So most of the resources are going into finding them, build more telescopes, aim more telescopes, to citizen scientist projects to try to find them, identify them through looking at fireballs and bolides, and put them into the database and create an international community of people who are going to be active in this area. Some of them might actually pick it up as a career in their future. I think that's really, really important. Excellent projects through your series of spawning ideas, Madhu, at UC. I supported a few of them, I know. And that's a really nice way to say, just bring any idea, bad or good, and we'll see what kind of thing it's going to spawn. Again, I think inspiring the next generation of scientists and engineers is probably our main goal here. We are going to retire at some point. Who is going to pick up the torch? That's what we'd like to achieve with those kind of workshops. We already have the Duff siblings and a few others. Just before we wrap up here, I want to show something here that is part of, again, continuation of my own inspiration, and also tell why we got inspired. This is the latest paper that me and my son, okay, hold on. I think I'm not sharing. Okay, I believe now I'm sharing. So, so this is a paper that me and my son have written last year or published last year at this journal, where we were looking at natural disasters as examples, as models for planetary defense planning. We looked at three of these examples. I cannot download the paper right here, but if you just search for this title, you'll see what we were describing there. Obviously, that was before the pandemic. Otherwise, we would have included COVID in that series of parallels. But there is one thing here that is inspired me with this paper, and that is the case of Fudai. Fudai was this Japanese village that is the only Japanese village that survived that tsunami that occurred, what was it, 10 years ago or so, because the mayor of this village insisted on building I guess, a waves break wall that is higher than most people were willing to fund. Because he went and read some statistics from hundreds of years back, and he said, it can happen. It didn't happen in your recent memory, but it can happen. So he insisted on building higher break walls, and his farewell statement before he retired, he said, even if you encounter opposition, have conviction and finish what you start. In the end, people will understand. And I think that's what we are doing now. So that is really what got inspired this paper that me and my son wrote. Go ahead and download it. I can send you a copy of it, which I do have, not here online, but I have it saved. And see how we looked at several natural disasters as examples, as models for what we could do for planetary defense in different stages of response. I think with that, I'll just ask for any commentary by anybody from the attendees that are still here. Did you learn anything new today? Do you feel that you have an impact? Suggestions for next year? Anything?
If nobody goes, I want to congratulate the Nath family. I was impressed. I was truly impressed at what they did, how they did, and the way they went about. I'm a fan of field astronomy. We got a few scopes, but I've never seen somebody this young compare their images with the catalogs and continue to make substantial observations, Paul. And am I right to think that they are neighbors?
They are neighbors of used to be neighbors of Paul, right? Paul now resides here, but originally Paul came from, was it the city of London?
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're Canadians, and I'm originally from Canada as well, but different eras.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and I enjoyed Randy Bell's talk. And that was a fresh, a breath of fresh air. And all the talks were nice, Nahum. You are a good reviewer and an excellent moderator. I tried to get a few other people in, and you said no, because then we would have run over, and it would have been difficult and stressful for all. But I think we'll have a great Asteroid Day too. And thank you to Ken. Ken quietly sits in the back and does a lot of good work to coordinate and to, he keeps complaining to me, oh, people complain to me, Madhu, but I got to do my stuff. And we keep encouraging him because Ken is special. And Paul, thank you for your professorial lectures. It's always welcome. It reminds us all. And most importantly, it tells you to be practical, as opposed to dreaming. But I can't help it. I got a dream.
We need
And
both.
also to Bill Ayler. Bill is
Yes.
one of the originals in this work. He lives here in Peewee, and he has done substantial heavy lifting early on. And I recall Pete Simon, General Warden, talking about him quite a bit, and all the other speakers were great. Nahum, thank you so much for moderating and for bringing it all together.
Thank you very much. No, I mean, it's a big pleasure to really be in your community. I think that I'm very privileged to be in the community of people who have done such advanced work in this area. And I second you, Madhu, that in fact, everything that I've been doing on planetary defense really stemmed from my interaction with Bill. Right, when I joined aerospace 18 years ago, I knew nothing about it. And I'm going to tell you a secret now, don't tell anyone. I couldn't even spell the word asteroid correctly. So that's something I learned pretty soon through interaction with Bill. And unfortunately, I wasn't aware of the very first conference that was held in 2004. It was before I became involved with that. But since then, I attended every conference and increased my involvement with it through the exercises and through organizing. And I'm hoping to continue to do that for the foreseeable future and continue to inspire additional generations from families. I love to see parents and kids and siblings being involved with that. So perhaps this could be a focus stemming out of the movie, right? The movie should say, hey, team up and be involved. And that could be one of the messages coming out of the movie.
Absolutely, Phil. It's your work now. We have done our part.
I wanted to put a shotgun in the film, but the IMAX people had a problem.
Oops. Okay.
I think Randy wants
I
to
would
have
like
a
to say-
comment. Yeah.
Yes. Hopefully I'm not on mute anymore. There are many different fronts. There's media fronts, there's a variety of different technical fronts, policy fronts. And I think as a community, we need to recognize that we can push on all of those fronts simultaneously. The work I presented on, just detecting the last few fiery seconds of an object has both near-term and far-term applications, but everything talked about today is important. Long-term detection, so we can understand the populations, the terrestrial and space-based missions to catalog events, catalog objects, determine orbits, visit objects, develop technology for deflection. In the chat, there was some discussion there on space nuclear. That's my current field. Yes, I agree. All of these things are important fronts to push on. Engaging with the next generation, engaging with our current leaders, engaging with the population in general, those who visited and saw the IMAX movie at down in Florida at Cape Canaveral and walked away saying, I didn't know. Well, now they do, and they'll tell others. So yes, there's many fronts, and we as a community need to sort of recognize those and push on all of them, because we need to make progress in all areas.
You're here.
Yeah, I agree. Well said.
Yeah, and go ahead, Paul.
If I may make a prediction, and that's always dangerous, but let me just suggest that I've been doing this for 40 years, so I've been seeing the whole field grow from its babyhood. But I predict with the new detection capabilities, that is with the Rubin telescope and NEO-Surveyor coming on, that within the next maybe 5 years, we will have a good example of that goes through a real object, small object, discovered a week, let's say, before it impacts the Earth. And it's yeah, on the order of, let's say, 4 meters, 5 meters. That's one of those small ones. They happen every year. So what we will probably have is an example of how all of this is progressing when we find that object with many days of warning, and we do our predictions, and we make the predictions, and we say this is where it's going to hit, and we get our all the measurements, sensors out there. We have tune up the infrasound. We get all of the the sensors on the satellites looking at this place. We have observers maybe from a long enough distance that they will see the bolide come in, and all of this will fit together. And now that will really raise the awareness of our whole system and our capabilities, prediction for one part, and then and our abilities to learn about impacts in general. So I think that that is not unlikely within the next 5 to 10 years.
And I think this capability would be really critical, because you cannot do evacuations with no warning or a warning of an hour. But you can potentially do some evacuations with a week warning.
But Nahum, no, I'm talking about a small object that would burn up, of course. But it would be an example of
capability,
what could happen, right? And it would raise awareness amongst public and decision makers and all of that, just as the huge object hitting Jupiter raised awareness. If we have a small object, and the whole idea of it being predicted and well known ahead of time, it's not scary at all, and it's going to burn up, but it could become a big story if we had this multi-day warning.
Yes, and in fact, I visited a while back the CNEOS close approach page, which has a small section of those 26,000 NEOs that are currently on the catalog. And if you spend a little bit of time seeing when they were actually discovered, you can find that a good portion of the small ones, or even medium-sized ones, were discovered after the fact, right? So they were discovered after they made a close approach with the Earth, which is something we would like to avoid, right? Because that's one of the...
Nahum, they came from the direction of the sun, so we couldn't see them until they passed the Earth and went into the night sky, and then we found them going away. And
that's the exciting part of NeoSurveyor, right? Because it's going to probably help out with this particular aspect. So
yes.
So, any other comments, Randy, Madhu, any other person here? Okay.
Thanks for being MC, Nahum.
So we had couple of new elements in that conference today, right? We had a workshop where we were trying to run a competition. I'm sure that we have lots of lessons learned out of trying to organize people into groups and teach novice people on the app to even see where they are on that. I think my lesson learned on this, that probably we want to maybe do something in advance of a workshop to just kind of train people on the app for an hour, so that they know what button to push before they actually plunge into deep water there and not knowing what to do. Some of them were totally lost.
Yeah, and I would point out, for those who are still online, there's tutorial, there's an overview, a tutorial, there are buttons along the top on the CNEOS website where you can get information to learn about what you're doing and how to run the app quickly, I think, or at least how to understand what the app is doing and how to kind of converge to a good solution.
Certainly, this would be very useful to get people to do a little bit of homework before the workshop, and maybe give them a demo before the workshop so they can ask questions and it's not under 5-minute pressure, right? Where the breakout rooms forces you to the main room before you can even figure out where you are. So that would be a nice thing, but it is a new element that we added this year to this event, which I think it was exciting. It creates a little bit of dynamics and inject some energy into the talk. And we had the participant. Go ahead. Who?
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun. And we have the siblings. Maybe we can encourage more siblings or parent-children interaction to participate in those kind of events. And maybe just reading through the chat text here, maybe we can attempt to even invite one of those philanthropists to come and talk about those heavy launch vehicles going to cislunar space. We just heard about how the cislunar space could be endangered by those impacts. And hey, I mean, if you build something on the cislunar space or even on Mars, which is much more prone to impact by those objects than we are here on Earth, even the small ones could cause major damage to local infrastructure there. And maybe they will be more inclined to, contribute to their from the philanthropist point of view.
By the way,
So-
Nahum,
Nahum, I see
can
that-
I share my screen for just a
please.
second?
Yes, of course, yeah.
Because this whole thing began with someone talking about that episode of Star Trek that featured an asteroid. Well, this will crack you up.
Okay, let's see.
1953,
Oh, wow.
an episode of Superman with George Reeves had an asteroid threatening the planet. Now, if you see the episode, you'll see that they had a huge misunderstanding of what a threatening asteroid might look like and why it would be threatening. But it was interesting, 1953.
Wow.
So there you go, a headline from the Daily Planet. You saw it there first.
Excellent. Nahum, I see that Arushi is still online. She may want to say something.
Arushi, okay, yeah, by all means, Arushi.
I just thought I saw her on there.
I don't
Yeah.
see.
There she is.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm here.
yeah, okay, yeah, Arushi, please
Arushi,
say.
would you like to tell us what you thought about this whole event that Nahum ran so well?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, like I enjoyed the event a lot. Like the workshop at the beginning was amazing, and it allowed me to play the game again. And then after that, the presentations after that were really interesting.
Excellent.
Thank you. I'm
Say hello
inspired
to your
by
brother.
I'm inspired by yours and your brother's participation in that, and I believe that you're on a path to a very, very successful and bright future in whatever endeavor you'll choose to do. Just the fact that you were able to achieve the detection of Apophis with the professionals, you're basically swimming with the professionals here. So I'm awestruck on that and admiring you and your brother and your family.
Keep up the good work, Arushi. Keep it up.
Keep it up.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? I'm just looking at the charts to see if there is anything there. Final concluding words from anyone, or that's it for us for today.
Yep.
Okay, thank you very, very much. I learned a lot today, as I usually do with those events. Happy Asteroid Day. Keep
Yes.
our planet safe, and we'll talk soon. And
Thank you,
Randy, I'd like to-
Nahum. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Nahum.
Thank you all. And
Thank
thank you,
you.
Ken. Thank you,
Thank you,
Ken.
and Ken, thank you.
Ken,
Thank you,
yes, Ken
everyone.
is
Thank
amazing.
you.
He made it all possible.
Yes.
Months of working on those things.
Thank
And
you.
Randy, I'd like to tag up with you at some point to talk about the bolide at some point. So we'll talk.
Yeah.
Paul, we are
Gretchen,
meeting
Anna.
regularly, and Phil, I know we are meeting regularly, and Madhu, we are meeting regularly. So that would be fantastic. Anybody who wants to reach out to any of us can easily find us,
Yeah.
or just reach out to Ken, and he will connect you with any one of the people who presented today.
Yeah, I had one question for Paul.
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was wondering in the app, so I was wanting to play it with my friends. So I was wondering when would a 2021 PDC asteroid be available on the app?
Are you talking about the app that does the teaming?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So on the JPL side, PDC 21 is available. On the aerospace side, it is not available yet because we are currently working on sort of like the next generation of the app, Paul and I. We are meeting weekly, And soon we are going to push an updated version, both on the aerospace side and on JPL side. And PDC 21 will be available on the aerospace side. The version that is in there currently was pushed last year before Paul was able to create that object for us. I think you did send us the files for it, Paul, right? For
Yes,
PDC
yeah,
21.
I've sent you all the information, but I think, Arushi, if you go to the JPL app, you should be able to see PDC 21, and I think the deflection maps are in there. I generate the deflection maps, and they're useful as well. I think they're in there now. So, so yeah, I seed all the objects into the app, and then Nahum copies them. So
That's right. So Paul is my source of information and sophisticated data. We are just putting the wrapper around the nitty-gritty high-tech calculations that he does behind the scene there and supply to us. So thank you, Paul, for doing all of that. I think without those very highly professional, detailed calculations, this app would not be possible.
yeah.
I'm curious, Paul. What percentage of hits come from corners as opposed to the rest of the world to CNOS?
What percentage of kids did you say?
What percentage of hits? I mean, clicks.
Clicks.
Geographically.
Oh. I don't know a lot. Believe me, it is a lot. Because the interest is just exponential. So yes, we're getting a lot of attention. I don't have numbers. Whenever we have a news story or some close approach, it goes way up.
Yeah.
And in fact,
That's
the old
when
days,
I usually email you.
in the old days, when we were using our own servers, of course, our servers might crash. But now it's all in the cloud. So so we were able to handle the peaks in interest. So, anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you,
again.
everyone.
Thanks,
Talk to you all
everybody.
soon. And it was a pleasure. It was a wonderful day. It zipped without, I didn't even notice that it's 6 o'clock now. So
Yeah.
It is.
we managed to fill the day with really good talks. So
Okay.
Thank you,
See you later.
everyone.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Bye-bye, everybody.
See ya.
happy 4th of July.
Thank
Oh,
you. You
thank
too.
you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Happy 4th of July. Yes. Bye bye. Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ken.